Welcome to episode 4 of Those Fire Guys.
I'm Tom, this is Doug.
And we're here at David W. Wilson Manufacturing in Cathcart to go through and showcase what we would look for fire safety requirements in an industrial manufacturing facility.
It encompasses everything that you would find in an industrial process, from raw materials, shipping, receiving, to all of the processing to where it is a finished product for the customer and it gets sent back out the door.
We'll be looking for various instances of where we need to apply the fire code and do a fire inspection.
Okay.
So let's go, Tom.
Let's go, Doug.
Okay, so we got several different operations going on here at this facility. We've got an area where we have a charging station for our pallet lifters, our tow motors. We've got an area where we have our electrical distribution system. We've got storage for lubricants and oils. We have a maintenance, welding, and machine repair, fabrication. And we also have the manufacturing area, which consists of several different things, including CNC machines, lathes, punches, presses, benders, that sort of thing. The occupants of this building are trained in what they're doing. They're professionals in their craft, and we're also not talking about people that are unable to help themselves in the event of an emergency. However, we need to make sure that properly prepared to be able to evacuate people, such as leaving egress routes clear, making sure that there's proper lighting, proper exit signage, and that proper fire prevention techniques are in place to make sure that there is no fires in the first place.
One of the things we spoke of earlier and in our past videos, we dealt with separation, being able to close off one part of the building from another. Well, this is the exact same thing, just different. So this is a parts wash, really fancy sink that's got a cleansing liquid in it. This right here that holds it open, this is a fusible link, meaning if there was ever a spark or a hot ember get to this fluid and a fire were to happen, this fusible link would melt, the door would close, the fire would go out. This is one of the industrial fire safety measures that are in place in an industrial area.
In a building like this, if something were to happen, there's obviously a lot of dangers in here. We need to be able to get the people out safely and effectively. So we have to make sure that we maintain our aisleways and our means of egress clear, and we get to our exit doors. Our exit doors have to be maintained as unlocked at all times. Now, this one has a turn handle on the door as opposed to a push bar or a panic bar, but that is a factor of how many people that might be in the building. So over a certain number of people, then we have to have that panic hardware to be able to get people out. Otherwise, a door handle on an exit door is sufficient for what we need. A business owner or a proprietor of business it would be incumbent upon them to make sure that they store their materials in a safe spot. You wouldn't want to put a hot tow motor into an area where there's potentially a lot of combustible dust or gases or anything like that. So you would make sure that you store materials and store equipment in a safe manner.
So one of the items that separates this occupancy from a school, from a nursing home, is that this is an industrial lift truck. We might know it as a forklift or a tow motor. This vehicle is powered by propane, so this is the propane tank, just like we have in our gas barbecue at home. It's just a lot bigger. So this tank itself, when it's not in the vehicle, there is a storage cabinet outside that we'll look at in a few minutes, but these have to be protected from any kind of damage and any kind of fire. All industrial lift trucks need to have their own fire extinguisher. It's got its own fire safety measures. Doug.
We also have to make sure that all the fittings and all the plumbing from the propane tank into the engine are in good working order. We may also, if it's not tuned properly and maintained properly, we may also end up with carbon monoxide concerns inside of the building itself. Ordinary cutting torches that you'd have in any other shop. So on this, we have flashback arresters on the torch head itself. Some torch heads, they have the flashback arresters built into the head itself. They also have a small portable fire extinguisher that's attached to the cart so that when they go around to do any welding or cutting or any type of hot work like that, they don't have to go looking for a fire extinguisher.
This only has one job, and it is to work in an industrial setting, so it doesn't have to be as pure as medical oxygen does. So oxygen is an oxidizer, meaning it makes the fire hotter. The cutting torch, as Doug was explaining, takes the oxygen and takes the acetylene. Now, this acetylene could also be propane. It could be any version of cutting gas or fuel. Oxygen line comes in, acetylene comes in. These two valves here let the gases go from the oxygen and acetylene into the torch itself. So both of these are open and the fuel goes in. This is what's called the mixing chamber on the cutting torch, and this is the cutting head. We light the torch, get the flame coming out, and then this knob here, we use the oxygen to fancy the torch.
So a cabinet like this would be used to contain any flammable combustible liquids, and it's rated, has to be properly ventilated to be in this place. But that rather than having gasoline containers, for example, stored out in the open where they could become part of a fire hazard, they're contained in these cabinets and put away safely. These cabinets are specified and rated to do the job they're doing and have a capacity that's appropriate. Right here at the exit door, we've got our pull station for our fire alarm. We've got a fire extinguisher, portable fire extinguisher for anybody to be able to use. We've also got signage to indicate that we've got a fire extinguisher here and that this is an egress way. We've got marks along the floors to get us here.
So this is another version of our industrial lift truck. The forklift we've seen earlier, it was a propane powered one. These lift trucks are battery powered, and with all the batteries, eventually they run out. So this is the battery charging station. This is specially designed for the lift trucks, where only the lift trucks go here, and you have to be trained to charge these batteries. And over here is a spill kit for if any of the alkaline in the battery comes spilling out.
Separating everything and keeping clear material from in front of our electrical panels on both sides. We have the transformers there that are kept clear, and we make sure that no combustible materials build up.
Every tow motor charging station has to be protected by its own fire extinguisher. So when we were in the maintenance shop, we seen the cutting torch. That is old technology to remove metal. This is brand new technology. A part will come on here, roll on these wheels, will go into the machine, will program a job that the machine will do, and it will laser cut a pattern out for whatever part.
All the cutting lines, the lubricant lines, the air lines are all designed to be to withstand that kind of environment. One of the things that's also really important in these workstations is to make sure that the workstation stays nice and tidy, so that in the event of an emergency, even fire or otherwise, if something were to happen, that you would be able to get yourself out. You can see that that material at one point had a fair amount of heat put into it. So depending on the process and the material that they're using, some of the cutting tools are designed to be used with coolant. Some of them are designed to be run dry. And this, I would suspect, just based on what I'm feeling here, what I'm seeing, that this material and these cutting tools are made to be run dry. So there's no oils or solvents or coolants or whatever involved in that. However, when the chips come out, they're really hot. So they have to be handled with a particular bit of care to make sure that there's nothing combustible in the process or in the path.
this part is placed on this machine, and this machine does an industrial process, meaning it can either cut, it can grind, it can machine. Once everything's put in place, the operator hits start, and the machine does it all by itself.
We need to make sure that the coolants they use for the machining process are non-combustible in nature, and that there is the availability for a fire extinguisher. The chances of a fire in a machine like this that's machining metals would be slim. But however, as I say that, it would depend on the metal that's being machined. So,
Right.
for example, steel or stainless steel or something like that would have a much lower propensity for fire than would be aluminum or magnesium or some other type of a metal.
Safety is on your mind at all time. These are heavy parts. They use a crane to load the heavy parts, and all of the machines have a warning label on them.
This is one of the passageways between two expansions of a building. So the part here behind us was an addition onto the building. So in between the two buildings, they required a certain fire separation because of the building size. Because we're in a rural area, that requirement is difficult to attain. And as an alternative to sprinkling the other side of the building, they had to build in a at least four hour fire separation in between these two buildings. So the way they did that was with two fire doors and a 6-foot spatial separation between the buildings. So on this side, we have a fire door. Up on the top, similar to what we had with the parts washer, there's a fusible link. And a fusible link is two pieces of metal that holds a piece together. And when heat gets at that, those pieces of metal separate. That'll allow that door to come down and shut between the two buildings to prevent smoke and fire spread. We also have a fairly large size carbon dioxide extinguisher here. And the reason they would use a carbon dioxide extinguisher here for a machine like this is because this will leave no residue on the electronics, the components inside the equipment itself. So there's no powder, it's just a compressed gas, excludes oxygen, cools the materials, and puts the fire out in the event there is one. We see a lot of compressed gas like carbon dioxide extinguishers used where there's sensitive electronics, perhaps in computer server rooms or in areas where we do not want the residue of a ABC type fire extinguisher to cause as much damage as the fire itself. Once we've taken away the ignition source, then the fire prevention, the risk of fire drastically is reduced, yeah. We also, if we look closely here, we've got a lawnmower stored up on the racking. So we have to make sure that when it's put away, that all the gas and flammable liquids are drained out of that machine before it's put into storage. All right, well, Tom, I guess we've kind of walked through this whole facility at this stage. What did you think of today?
There's a lot of things here which we don't normally see in any kind of the places that we might go to in our normal lives. This was in an industrial factory where there was a lot of working with heavy metal and machining.
The owners of this business for allowing us to come in. We really appreciate it. They've done a really good job. They've got a nice, tidy factory. Housekeeping, obviously, is paramount in a facility like this, not only for fire safety, but for safety overall. So what did you want to do for our next episode?
I was wondering if it might be a good idea if we looked at opening a discussion and talking about lithium-ion batteries.
That's a good idea.
Right?
Yeah.
And both ends. Maybe we could look at dealing with an industrial application to maybe a consumer application. See, that is a very, very interesting topic, and perhaps we might be able to get some expert advice on how to properly deal with this in our next episode.